Hey, y'all, welcome back to my podcast. This is Melissa Guerra, and I am so glad that you are here today. Lordy, look who has 40 followers. I'm so glad that y'all are here, all 40 of you. Who says that 40 is a bad number? I love it. I love you. I'm so glad you're here. I want you to get in touch with your inner nerd because we're going to be talking all about food history because that is my Tuesday jam. I love food history. Here we speak nerdish. Absolute 100% nerdish. I'm fluent, and I just let your inner food nerd come out into the sunshine. Let it come out and play because that's what this podcast is here for. And yeah, it's me with my little piece of paper because I'm tech savvy, but not that savvy. I'm smart, but I'm not that smart. So I wanted to spend a little time with you today talking about why I love food history because it's weird. It's weird, but I don't care. I'm just letting my weird self be me. But if you're here, I'm assuming that the 40 of y'all are a little weird too. So weirdos of a feather flocking together. It's all good. So I wanted to explain to you a little bit more why I love food history. And so, of course, if I'm going to have a good explanation, then I better have a good story. And I don't really have that great of a story, but I do have a really good recipe. And I thought a really good recipe is probably better than a really good story because by the end of it, you would have something cool to eat. So don't worry about copying down this recipe because it's already on my blog. And but I want to share it with you. And it is... Well, I guess by the title of this podcast, you probably guessed my recipe is for Cowboy cookies. Yes, Cowboy cookies are a portal into humanity. They really are. I'm gonna show you. Now, I read recipes every hour, every 10 minutes. I am reading a recipe somehow, or I am recreating a recipe in my head. I want you to see a recipe the way I see them. So here is my recipe for Cowboy cookies. And like I said, don't bother writing this down. I mean, you can. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But it is on my blog and it has more instructions than what's here. But here is the recipe for Cowboy cookies. It's got sugar, it's got butter, it's got eggs, vanilla, flour, baking soda, cinnamon. You get it. It's got everything. And when I was my goal has always been to authenticate the cuisine of Texas, especially the cuisine of the border, because that's where I'm from. I live on the border of Mexico. And, there are some people that wonder as to whether Tex-Mex is actually a real cuisine. Yes, we are. And then I kind of got into the question of, well, who exactly brought the cuisine and then who exactly should be here? And so my study took me down into the ingredients of recipes, oddly enough. And so I rearranged these ingredients so that you can see what I'm looking at. Come on, slide, come on. Let's do this. There we go. All right, fantastic. So you saw the ingredient list. So I went back, I took out the amounts, and I put in the ingredients in the order of proximity to the United States and Texas. I'm in Texas, and so pecans are the ingredients that are closest to us. That is our native food. It is the state tree of the state of Texas because the First Nations that were here before the colonists got here, this is what they lived on. I mean, they would travel all over the state collecting pecans. It kept them alive. It kind of bridged the gap between being a hunter-gatherer and a farmer. Like they had all sorts of trees up and down the state of Texas. And this is what people did before Texas was colonized and farmed. The next thing on the list of the ingredient list is cornflakes. We have chocolate chips and vanilla. Now, those three ingredients are from Mexico. And the reason why it's important to know where ingredients from is because the people from that area, the first peoples of those areas, get all the credit for contributing those ingredients to our foods because they're the ones, every plant at one point was wild. which, you're thinking like, party animals, party plants, woohoo, wild. But they were just not domesticated. They just kind of did their own thing. And at some point, a tribe, a native person, had to go get that plant, domesticate it, and start cultivating it. And so that is what the Mayans did with corn, with chocolate, and with vanilla. Now, I don't think the Mayans were actually making chocolate chips. That was Nestle. It came way down the line. It's a totally different story. In fact, I think we talked about it last time. We talked about it a little bit in podcast 8. Not enough. I never talk about anything enough. But these 3 items, corn, chocolate, and vanilla, all of those are from Mexico. Next on the list, we have the raisins, which come from grapes, which are from the Fertile Crescent. We have butter, which comes from dairy cows, and dairy cows are the descendants of aurochs, A-U-R-O, I'm not having a stroke, A-U-R-O-C-H-S, aurochs. These are wild cattle from back in the day. Those are from the Fertile Crescent as well. And, oats. Oats are also from the Fertile Crescent. So those come from even further out. Let me finish with my ingredient list, and then I'll take you to a map and show you where I'm talking about. Then we have actually 2 ingredients from Sri Lanka. We have eggs, which come from the red jungle fowl, which is native to Sri Lanka, and cinnamon, also a native plant to Sri Lanka. And then from Papua New Guinea, I can't even. Oh, goodness gracious. What the heck? Why do I have so much cinnamon and coconuts and craziness here? My list is messed up. Every week I mess up something. So here we go. I hope this is the only thing. So coconuts and sugarcane came from Papua New Guinea. So it's very interesting. We have 2 ingredients from Papua New Guinea. And then I'm not going to get into the baking soda, baking powder, or salt. Although I will say the baking powder has a little bit of cornstarch in it to keep it moisture free. And so we have to give that credit to the native tribes of Mexico. And so if I rearrange all these ingredients, you can see kind of the mind-blowing places of all of these people that came together to cooperate for my cookie. Okay, so corn, I was talking about corn. I wanted to bring in a picture of corn. That's vanilla. The photo of those things that look like green beans, that is vanilla on the vine. And chocolate. So and chocolate is the pod looking one that looks like a papaya. And so those are both Mexico. So these are the flavors of the Americas the Americas. I don't mean United States of America. I mean the continent of the Americas. This is what Mexico and the Americas contributed to our Cowboy cookie. And so, okay, here's our Fertile Crescent that I always talk about the Fertile Crescent. I always talk about the Fertile Crescent. And the first peoples of the Fertile Crescent were the Sumerians, the Babylonians, the Akkad, the Assyrians, and the Egyptians. So they were the ones that domesticated the aurochs. They collected up those first grapes and made them into the raisins that we know of today. They domesticated oats. So they get all the credit for those ingredients. And then what's my last slide? And then there's Sri Lanka right below India. And then there's Papua New Guinea, which is on the other side of Australia. So we look at this map all together. And again, I made this map. I can make a cake. I can make a pie. I can barbecue really well. I am not a cartographer. I am not the best map maker in the world. And I'm even worse with PowerPoint. So here's my kind of lame map. But you can see the expanse of territory that had to be covered to get all of the ingredients for this cookie. We've got Papua New Guinea, Sri Lanka, the Fertile Crescent represented by an FC in the box because I couldn't put Fertile Crescent in there. And Mexico, look at that. That's the entire globe. So we've got the entire globe in our Cowboy cookie. And let's see, I got to read my little ridiculous piece of paper here. So what blows my mind is that all of these peoples in all of these different spaces, I don't want to say they cooperated, because it wasn't a pretty process getting all of these ingredients traded around the globe. We talk about Columbus and how he wanted to find a shorter route to the East Indies to go find spices. Well, a little bit of trivia is that back in Columbus's time, is that right? Columbus. Well, he was one person. Okay, Columbus. Back in Columbus's time, sugar was considered a spice. So we all talk about his quest for spices, and we're thinking black pepper, and we're thinking, at least I would think black pepper and cinnamon. But it was actually probably for sugar, because I'm addicted to sugar. I don't know about you. I like cinnamon. I'm not addicted to cinnamon. I don't have to have cinnamon every day. I have to have some sort of dessert every single day. Humanity has this addiction for sugar, and that pushed Columbus to the East Indies. So that would have been India, where all the spices were, because we were talking about how sugarcane and coconuts made their way from Papua New Guinea over to India. So the assumption was that sugar and cinnamon and coconuts and black pepper, that all of these were coming from India, from the East Indies. And so Columbus was trying to find this shorter route. But the fact of the matter is that I really think Columbus was trying to find a shorter route to sugar, because even today, sugar sells a lot more than all of the other spices. I mean, we pretty much consider sugar a food group anymore in today's food. Oh, well, that's a different story. But all of them are in this cookie. And I had this moment where I realized that I was looking at the existence of humanity in this ridiculous, come on you, oh fiddle faddle, dag nabbit. You know, I have these really dramatic moments where I think I'm going to show you a new slide, and PowerPoint just fails me. All right, fine, PowerPoint, have it your way. We're going to go back to the beginning. Ridiculous. Anyway, so back to the cookie. I was just blown away that all of this food stuff could come from around the planet and create something that we kind of take for granted. We just go to the grocery store and we just buy everything. So the history of humanity is in this doggone little cookie. That's it. That's all. That's all the words. My words have ended in the cookie. And so that just blows my mind. And so I hope that if you follow me on this podcast quest, if you invite your friends to speak nerdish with me and to watch me rattle my ridiculous papers and to talk more about it, that you will become more excited about history and where we come from, through our food. I think you are what you eat. Tell me, tell me that is actually not the case. Like, you are what you eat. We are this collaborative effort of all of the native tribes handing these foods forward across the globe, and now they are within reach in your pantry. Again, this is why food history blows my mind. So I want to thank you again for subscribing to my podcast. There are more episodes that are planned. I will be here every week, just nerding up with y'all. And make sure that you subscribe to my food channel too, because I have 2 YouTube channels. I have one where I just cook and eat and celebrate food. And then I'm here really studying and getting out into some really deep, I think it's intellectual. You probably think it's just weird. I don't know if it's intellectual. Can you call yourself intellectual? I don't think I can. Anyway, leave a comment. Oh, and I put the link for my cowboy cookie recipe down in the comments below, so you can get it really easily. One of my very favorite cookies, but if I sit there and I study it too long, I am just mesmerized by how humanity has come together to put together this cookie. Okay. Thank you. That's it for my podcast for this week. Make sure you subscribe to both my channels. Get your friends to subscribe, because nerds of a feather should flock together. Okay, looking forward to seeing y'all next week. I'm Melissa Guerra, and this is my food history podcast. Hope to see y'all back here at the ranch again soon. Bye now.